Today I would like to give you a walkthrough of my recent project titled Serenity. It's available to stream in every major platform. You can find the link on my bio, and yeah, let's go check it out. So I started this project summer last year. I'm gonna start playing from the intro all the way to the outro. Let me start with the chords. I had 3 chords playing on the break section. In the first break section I had these 2 chords, and by the way, at this time I already bounced everything. This is the first one. It sounds like this. It's playing on the left side of the stereo field, and the sound is coming from silent, and it sounds like this with any processing. Pretty much the same, since on the processing I didn't go too crazy on it. I just put an EQ because I was looking for the mid frequencies of that sound. So this is the EQ, removing the low and high frequencies. And this Pro Q3 is working as a sidechaining tool. I have another string playing on the right side of the stereo field. You're gonna hear it in a moment. At the time that the string is playing, I'm just removing the frequency from the right side of the piano, so that way I can have that extra clarity for both elements. For the strings, it sounds like this. It is a sustain note. It's playing on the right side of the stereo field. I think it's coming from Flats. Yeah, so yeah, this is a preset that you can find inside Flats. This is a native plugin from FL. This is how it sounds by itself without any processing. Pretty much the same thing. I didn't go too crazy on the processing, but I do have a pitch monster. I copied this preset from a YouTube channel that I watch. His name is Oversample. He has a lot of things that you can find really useful for mixing purposes and sound design purposes inside Ableton. So sometimes whenever I watch something interesting, I have to find a way to kind of recreate that inside FL Studio, but most of the time it's kind of easy to get the idea on how to do that. Yeah, it's generating the upper harmonics on the high frequency, and I have an EQ here, and as you can see I had this kind of the same frequency as the piano sound. So this is the reason why I had the sidechain EQ on the piano sound. So some of the frequencies that are playing on the string doesn't interfere too much with the piano sound, even though they are panning left and right, but just to gain that extra clarity on the mix. I had this pad. So for the first one, it sounds like this, and it's coming from Tootsie Biohazard, I think it's his name, and this is a native plugin from FL. I'm pretty sure that I didn't tweak anything inside, and for the processing, well, it's kinda, so let's hear, because it seems to have a lot of processing. So this is the sounds without any processing. Not sure how I ended up with that, but I have snap hip hep snap hep, whatever. I'm pretty sure that you can still get this one for free. This one too, you can get it for free. The preset itself are awesome, that you can try on anything, on percussion, on drums, the chords, and vocals, and also on the main lead sound. You might have to tweak it a little bit. So super massive. Saturation node, EQ, pretty simple EQ, just removing some low frequency. Since I noticed that I have an extra reverb plugin, so I assume that the Supermassive plugin, it might be just as a creative plugin, changing the tonality of the sound. And this one, Valhalla Vintage, the one dedicated for the long reverb, since it is a church type of reverb. Another EQ, some of the high frequency, low frequency, and next I have Grossbeat sidechain preset, another EQ. And the reason why the EQ filter is moving like that is because I have peak controller, and peak controller is the one creating that movement. The purpose for this is just to have that extra movement on the sound. It's not too static, so it have a lot of movement, and you can really, even though it's playing on the background, sometimes it's really difficult to hear while it's playing on the mids, but you ended up doing this type of and I have a phaser on it, another EQ, another Pro Q3, and I have a reductive EQ. Moving on, I think that I went too long on that one. I had this plucked sound. It sounds like this. It's coming from a sample loop, and I'm just playing this note. So this is without any processing. And for the processing, I have picture, and on the setting A minor, I forgot to mention that this track was writing on the key of A minor, so I had this setting. An EQ, Echo Boy Jr., Valhalla Vintage with a preset titled Old Tape, another EQ. At the end, an OTT, 20% the depth. We have the melody. It's the same melody playing throughout the entire section. And from the intro all the way to the drop, the sound is filtering. At the intro section is kinda a plucky sound, and at the time that it's playing on the drop, it just have a couple extra layers. I think just 2 layers to add in that extra width on the mid. Like I said, everything is already bounced, since the lead sound are the one that always consume a lot of CPU because of the plugins. Especially some of the sound is generated by Serum. Jeez. Yeah, this is the first one. It sounds like this. And the second layer. And the third layer. And for the sound, it's coming from silent. I always use silent, and the reason for that is because any preset that I would choose, I can just tweak it to change the tonality, kind of make it my own. And especially because of the CPU thing, let's say if I have an idea fully developed and I'm looking for any extra special sounds or something, I do open Serum just to work with, but it has to be really fast in the way that I have to choose the sound and export the sound because of the CPU issue. Like I say, if I automate the filtering on any other parameter inside Serum, it's really difficult to keep working in the same project. The second one, it's coming from Silent 2. It sounds like this without any processing. The third one, it's coming from Master, and it sounds like this without any processing. For the processing, it's just distortion, EQ, stereo enhancer. For the second one, which is this one, an EQ and stereo enhancer for the guitar sound, which is this one from Master. So I have hardcore. This is a native plugin from FL2. I have an EQ with a unique type of setting, tremolator, Echo Boy, an EQ, Cashmere. I'm just increasing the transient of the sound, and just to add that extra coloration of the sound, I add little radiator from Soundtoy, another EQ, and at the end, I'm just having this filter. Other sound that it is playing on the drop section is this one. It is a plucky sound. It's coming from Silent 2. On the processing, I had distortion. This one, 5 micro. I'm not sure if this one is for free or if I got it for free at the time that I bought a scaler on Plugin Boutique. This one is the one creating that kind of particle playing on the stereo field on the mids. And lastly, an EQ. The 4 layers are routed to my boss channel. This is where I ended up applying the final processing Saturn 2 with the preset titled Saturate in Color O. another reductive EQ, an extra EQ, a compressor, soundizer, and OTT around 10% the depth, and that'll be all for the main melody. The bass line is playing in the entire section of the track, so from the intro all the way to the end. So this is the bass line with all the processing. And the sub bass. And on the build up, I had this percussion sound. I had the snare roll. Oh, I have another percussion playing on the build. The chorus. This is with all the effects again. Processing, kinda the same processing as my past video. No distortion, EQ, compression, and reverse for the kick and a snare. So this is the kick. For the processing, I have saturation, an EQ, compressor, and essential kick from Cashmere, and the captator at the end. For the clad, processing, saturation, EQ, compression, another compressor, and another compressor, and soft clipper, and reverb. For the percussions, I have two versions. The first one on the first drop, and on the mid drop I have a little switch on it. So this is the first section. And on the mid drop, same process, distortion, EQ, compression, and saturation, Oxford inflator. I think that I had never mentioned this, reverb. And that'll be all for the percussions. And moving on into the second braid, I have an extra melody. First layer is from Silent, second one from Silent 2, third one from Silent 2. Let me play a bit without any processing. This is the first one. The second one. The third one. For the processing, saturation, delay from Echo Boy, soundizer, an EQ, compressor, a limiter, pancake, filter. I have an extra percussion playing in the second braid. It sounds like this. On the second drop, the only thing that I add different was some riser effects. Let me play a little bit, you can get the idea. So is this one the one that it's playing on the left side? And the second one is this one. This is on its own. And on the outro, the chorus, and the bass line. The kinda plucky percussion sound. Keep the snare. Oh, and lastly, just the melody that it is playing on the second break. So the first thing playing is this counter melody. And then goes the other melody on the master channel. I don't think that I'll be able to play the mix because of the CPU, but I have Patcher. I have a few automations on it. First one is a volume automation. I'm using Fruity Balance, which is a utility plugin. I think that's how they call it on Ableton. And from the build right before the drop, I'm reducing about 2 dB, so you can have that extra impact on the drop. I'm using almost the same setting on the automation from the build right before the drop. I'm removing the stereo information of the sound by a couple percentage, maybe 20%. I'm making the track a bit narrow, and at the time that the drop hits, and open the stereo field again, so you can feel that the drop is more fuller, more bigger. And same thing with the filter. I'm just removing the low frequency and the high frequency. I have, say, Saturn 2 with the preset Saturate in color O. I have this patcher setting, Oxford inflator, EQ, removing some of the annoying frequency, any side information below 200, a compressor with around maybe 2 to 3 dBs of compression. Then I had the Buster SE with the glue compressor setting, and for this one I'm just aiming for 2 dB of compression. Then I have Shadow Hill. For each setting that it has, I'm aiming for the same 2 to 3 dB of compression for the optical compressor and the discrete compressor. Then I activate the dual mono. You have to copy the setting manually. That's the only thing with this plugin, so otherwise you will have your left and right signal unbalanced if you don't double check that. Ozone Night, and I have a dynamic compressor with the 4 bands, and on each band same thing, 2 to 3 dB of compression, and exciter. And as you can see, barely coloring the track in any way, but just to give it that little hint of it, and imager. And at the end I had the limiter with the tube setting, the tier 5 clipper, and at the end I have Pro L2. And for the love, I'm aiming about 5 or 6 love, depends on the track. For this one, let me see if I can play everything while I'm recording the screen. I think that I was hitting about 6 love. No, it won't work. So sorry about that. So yeah, so this is the trap. I hope that you like it, and let me know what you guys think about it. And once again, you can find the link on my bio to streaming on any major platform. And thank you for watching. See you next time.